I love that. I no longer have to go. I'm now recording the meeting. And you can't shut that off because my wife was like, "Can you shut that off? It's interfering with me recording my videos for work." Anyways, it's welcome to Beers with Bill tonight. It's my pleasure to welcome Eric Bolton, singer, songwriter, musician, um, founder eBolt Music, member of Shy Harry, solo artist, founder of Galt Love, a community builder, a good friend. I don't know how many things I can go on and say about you, Eric, but welcome to Beers with Bill. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for having me. I mean, hey, I've always loved, ever since that like fateful, what was it? What was it called? Ignite pop-up, where you and I were speaking
Yeah.
together. We were sharing a stage. I've loved being connected ever since. It's been beautiful.
Yeah. And the first time you played kickoff, I have
Oh
no
yeah.
idea how my daughter managed to gaslight me, but she goes, "Dad, what did you do? You really pissed Eric off."
What?
Yeah.
What? How?
And you could just do it because I'm sitting there and I'm like, I thought he had a good time.
Yeah. What? I wasn't pissed.
Oh, no. She was just cranking me up. And
Oh, right on, Sarah. Well, it's good to see like some familiar faces from the old kickoff times.
oh, that's what this is for. So
Yeah.
you were an extremely busy individual at the beginning, or before COVID. You must have had to do some really hard pivots right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. It
So
was not fun.
what was the hardest hurdle for you to overcome?
Um, the hardest hurdle to overcome. Well, there was the financial and um, like kind of hopeless reality of just watching gigs just cancel and just goodbye. So when they said it was like going to be a 2 week thing, it was like, okay, well there goes, you know, there goes a couple $1,000, but okay, we'll be fine. And then they're like, oh, actually, just kidding. The month of April is also a wash. Then then it was like, well, that's starting to sting. And then, but it was like, I don't know, it all worked out. But I think probably the most, that was more just like a mental, like, I don't know, just kind of trusting that it's all going to work out. But the probably the most like actual just work related thing was trying to just get everyone, all of our students. So I teach music and have a music school, but trying to convince people that online lessons could work. And some people didn't even want to give it a shot. Other people were so down and they were like, yeah, whatever, let's give it a go. That was probably the most like time consuming hurdle, but it worked out. And a lot of people who weren't into the idea of it, once they realized, hey, we're 4 weeks into this pandemic, maybe we will try this online thing. And it's worked out really well ever since.
What's been the best thing that happened during the last year and a half for you?
The best thing?
What's the best thing?
Oh, my mental health. I know that's probably weird because some people would probably say this year has been really hard on the mental health, and I guess in certain ways I would say the same. But it was a year for me of finally giving myself a minute and finally I like really embraced it. So right before the pandemic, it was probably I definitely remember one experience in February 2020 where I was just very clearly getting a little bit socially and just business wise burnt out. And I don't know, I'd always kind of been go for a while, for quite a few years before that. And then I even said to a few people right before the pandemic, like, I need a break. Like, I think I'm going to snap. And then I even did I kind of did snap one day, but it wasn't pretty. But we made it through. There were no casualties, but it was not great. And then, so when the pandemic hit, I actually felt like in a way I could take a bit of a breath, and that was great. But then from that breath led to a lot of different things. It led to like finally addressing some personal issues, some family issues, some things that have been just kind of casually on the back burner that was never really getting my attention. Um, it led to me coming out, which was cool. And then it just turned into like a whole year of like, I mean, I don't know, and then that just sparked a whole bunch more mental fortitude and a lot more clear view for my life. And kind of, it's been great to kind of get a bit more momentum for what actually is the right way for me and what's going to work out well. So I think in many ways, the space to really reflect and look at life and see what's working and what's not working has been the biggest gift of all.
So I'm curious, coming out, more difficult with friends or with family?
My goodness, family, 100%, million times family. I had like, so for me, it's unfortunate. I came out to family a long time ago, and it was kind of just decided we're never going to talk about this. And then I came out to some friends, and it was just very welcomed and normal. And then it was at one point throughout the pandemic where I got an email from my dad being like, "So what the heck?" In like much more formal terms, but like, pretty much, why aren't you kind of following certain things or doing X, Y, and Z? And then I kind of had to be like, I don't know if you remember, but came out to you a long time ago. And like, I don't think you're quite acknowledging that and have accepted that. And then since then, it's been a lot of, unfortunately, it's been a lot of butting heads about it. And it's only like it hasn't been quite embraced by most of the family, but friends have been very supportive, and the community's been very supportive, and that's kind of been a very helpful thing to learn. So you're really very much not alone, and I don't know why I was holding my breath for so long with my family when there's this beautiful community. So yeah.
Community's always been important to you, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Because we met that way through community. So I'm sorry to hear about dealing with family, but it's always problematic.
It is, but honestly, and I appreciate that, but it's also it's been very empowering in so many other ways to have to learn to, like, with family, they're so close to you, so you don't want to cause a stir if you don't have to cause a stir. And then when you realize, hey, in this area, I actually do have to stand up for myself a little bit. And then when you do that and you realize, like, oh, wow, that's what standing up for yourself feels like, that's cool. And then you start to realize, oh, wow, I've actually kind of never really given myself the space or the time or the strength I needed. And I've never focused on what I need. And once you do it, you're like, wow, like that's very freeing and empowering. And so in some ways, I know it's very sad and about family. Like it hurts a lot sometimes with family, but in other ways, it's been probably the reason it was a time of growth and not a time of, because I had to actually learn to own it.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, has COVID changed your message? But honestly, has coming out changed the message for you?
I think I'm still figuring it out, to be honest. But yeah, no, it has. I think giving yourself. I think we get very easily caught up in just living life and running a rat race or doing whatever you feel. You just get caught in this constant hamster wheel and whatever you feel you need to do. And there could be different reasons. It could be work life, it could be personal life, but you just get caught like running and you maybe sometimes lose the intentional aspect of why you're doing what you're doing. And I think COVID has given the space and time to really question why you're doing what you're doing. And so I think to me that message is great. And a friend of mine throughout it even said, like, this is a time to learn how to protect your energy. And I think that's been one of the biggest takeaways for me is, like, protect your energy. And as the world opens back up, really protect your energy and decide, as we go forward, what's really good for me, what is my home base, and things like that. So I don't know if that fully answers the question, but I think that to me has been such a great takeaway from this whole time.
You've been also really creative during COVID. because, you know, I follow you online, try to be as supportive as I can. But, you know, you did a lot of music videos. You did a lot of music releases. You did a bunch of covers. You even did a food video.
I did.
Can you share with us what worked and maybe share with us what you could have done differently?
Hmm. Um, huh. Um, what worked? So, it was definitely a great year, again, for thinking of like why you do what you do. A lot of musicians, I'm not going to dwell on this. I'm not looking to point fingers or put anyone down. Um, Graham, hey, right? These big windows. I love this place. But it's old. Honestly, this building's falling into the river, but it'll be fine. We have at least nice light. Thank you, Graham. So yeah, okay. Um, it was very cool from a business standpoint to learn what works and that you don't that like it's actually gonna we might talk more about it later, but it's inspired a whole shift in how I run my business and what works in the business versus what we were doing before, and you realize, wow, we can be way more effective right now. So there's elements of working online that I definitely won't be changing going forward. It's really cool. So the question, what's worked well through COVID and what hasn't worked? From a performing standpoint, in the first lockdown, a lot of people wanted to do cool Zoom concerts and things like that. Then as lockdowns went on, I think people were like, it's just not the real thing. And people started to lose interest in it. But for that first lockdown, it was interesting. The few musicians that I knew who did pivot and pushed to doing online shows were the musicians who were getting the first calls to do patio shows when patios opened up. So I was so grateful to I was so uncomfortable trying to do like live Instagram live or things like that. And then you do it and then patios open and you're getting all these calls about like, hey, we've been loving your Instagram lives. Come do all these shows. And so it was really an important lesson in like, ultimately it is about community and staying connected to people. And if that means for a time just being online, that's fine. But so I think learning that and learning like the spirit of community and how like staying engaged with people is really such a big part of navigating this past year, and I think gives more reasoning for going forward, like that it is really about engaging with people and connecting with people. So I think that was something that worked really well that I don't think I'll ever forget.
I'm going to take a minute to go. It's time for us to try the Irish Red.
Okay.
I'm going to suggest, Eric, because you've been having fun talking, don't crack that if you don't want to.
Okay.
Okay.
I actually have had this one numerous times.
I love Irish Reds, so I'm looking forward to seeing what it tastes like.
Okay. Funny thing with this one, Marvin could probably explain. I don't know what the smell is, but there's like, it's weird. I don't know if it's like hops or what it is, but there's a certain smell that like when you walk into a brewery when they're like washing it, I don't even know, you smell like there's a certain smell, and this beer tastes really good, but I find the smell of it smells like a brewery, like I don't know what it is. I don't know, Marvin, you'd have to explain what I'm smelling, but I smell it and I'm like, oh, it smells like someone's cleaning a brewery. But I don't know what that smell is at all, but it's funny, but it tastes really good. So that's ultimately the point.
Marvin, do you want to take a shot at that?
Like, is it a grain thing?
I was trying to be incognito here, but here I am. Okay. I haven't actually had this beer, so here we go. This is going to be a live smelling. Good to see you, Eric.
You too, Marvin. Man, oh man. Every time I do
such a dear friend.
Honestly, I was saying to Bill, like 22 years or something.
Yeah, it's a long time. Smells like a brewery.
Does it? Okay, you agree? I'm not crazy?
It's the malt really on this though. It's not the hops. Just a beautiful malt base.
Okay, the malt's what I'm smelling.
Yeah, a little melanoidin probably in this.
Right, melanoidin.
It was so chaotic. I was trying so desperately. I got to Jackass at 5:55 today to pick up the beer, and Wayne or Steve was there, so it was great. He just gave me the beer, and I'm like, I'm going on tonight. I want to watch Eric and Bill, and so they gave me the beer. So cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Cheers. Marvin, thank you.
I missed the first beer. What did you sample first?
We did the golden ale.
Okay.
Portraits of Honor.
But yeah, this is not my show. I'm out. I'm just gonna listen.
So, Eric,
Hi.
what you said we are going to talk about it later, but let's talk about it now. What are you keeping as you move forward in your business that you changed?
Okay, so one thing that's tough, I find, and I've been notoriously bad at, again, protecting my energy in this way, is in my line of work, it's very easy to, in teaching, students will take, also I'm seeing David's message now. I'm glad that protect your energy is connecting with you, David. Oh my goodness, man. When I teach, often a student will have a time, and many times they'll have that same time slot every week, 52 weeks of the year. And so you have to be kind of careful about, like, when do you give yourself a bit of a breather for a second? And it's all individual. So you don't want to inconvenience people. And you kind of think, how could I go through, like, if you ever need time to yourself, you think, how few people could I disturb as possible to make this okay? And on top of that, like right now, people are booking me for shows in 2023. And so you don't really often factor in like leaving a weekend for yourself in 2023 because you're not there yet and you're not feeling exhausted. So there's been years where I have had no days off or not a single weekend or an opportunity for 2 days off in a row or something like that. Like, because you do just get into a cycle with students, and I also love my job. Like, I don't want to necessarily cancel anything. So, yeah, so it's a little tough that way. But then from this time, it's been like very eye-opening that, like, certain shows are probably not worth it. You should probably just have those certain nights that you are home and you don't just say yes to everything. But on a bigger, more organized level, with teaching, it's been very cool to kind of see how this does work online, and that in some ways, some of the other teachers that work with me, like some of them tour the world in bands, and to think like, hey, we could still engage with people even if we're across the world, and like I'm always around here, but like we have a drummer like who could be in South Africa doing a show and still find a really cool way to like engage with his students and teach them something from the road or things like that. And so we're kind of looking at switching to doing a bit of a membership thing and ongoing, being like, how could we have certain weeks of the month online and other weeks maybe longer sessions in person? And how could we use this time to introduce our students to musicians that they wouldn't usually get connected to? And how could we, provide clinics and opportunities all just through the power of doing things online now that people know that it works? And so it's been very cool to see that. So going forward, I'm very excited to still keep elements of online because it's a powerful tool. And I'm also excited to, from that as well, give myself a more realistic space to have energy to give and not just be go, 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 go.
I'm curious, which artist would I find on your playlist right now?
A lot of Kasabian. I feel like I've been like spinning Kasabian for the past 3 weeks straight, but I go through phases and well, back in Kasabian, I'm in a very back in Kasabian situation right now. But if you were to ask me 3 weeks ago, it would probably be Peach Pit and Jay-Z. But it's like, and the week before that, like around the time of like the Grammy, or was it the Grammys? I don't know. Yeah, I was definitely feeling this whole situation that Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak were doing together, and this like, I'm gonna leave the door open. It was like loving that, and that just got me into a whole soul situation. So I was on a soul kick for a while. But right now, you'd probably find a lot of Beck and Kasabian. Yeah, long answer.
No, that's a fantastic answer. I'm digesting all of that right now.
Do you know Kasabian, Bill?
No, I was trying to picture it in my head. So enlighten me.
Oh, they're a British band that's like very driven rock band with dance elements to it. I'm trying to think. If you had
A rock band with dance elements brings a whole bunch of things to my mind.
okay.
And yes, David, I do know Beck.
Oh, Beck's great. Beck is like, yeah, okay. I would say Kasabian is some mixture of Oasis and Beck, maybe.
That brings a totally different picture to mind, but that's fantastic. I will check that out tonight when we're done. With everything that's gone on in the last 14, 15 months,
Yeah.
how does Eric stay grounded?
Wow. At one point through the whole insane, okay, no, before that. So I definitely fell in love with, and I think so many people did, with creating your home space and your home base and kind of doing things to better where you are, because you're spending all day at home. So how do you make your home base a place that also excites you? I'm a big believer in little magic moments, and like, so I fall in love with like little pockets of my place and being like, this is my little space for this, and this is my little space for this. And I've always been someone like that. And I think though, all of my, like the last 7 years, all of my energy has gone to creating a studio space for my clients and for the community. But if you like, I've even seen videos of my place from 2 years ago, and it's not pretty. It's very like, there's like 3 items of furniture. It's just dusty and weird. And I was never here. I would just be out all the time. And it was just a great year for taking care of the home base and making your home a place where you recharge. And so that was really good. But throughout the whole, like, again, family coming out process and everything, and things not going super great for a minute, my really good friend, Erin, she's something else. Erin's a superhero. I don't know how she does what she does, but she was the one who told me to protect my energy, and she started convincing me to join in on these morning mindset things she was doing. And I was kind of like, I'm not a morning person actually. And, but she was like, join me. Like, she's like, I'm doing this thing. I've got like people starting to follow me on it. Wake up with me at 7, like join me at 6:30 or 7 a.m. And I'm going to walk you through like a bit of a morning mindset thing. And I didn't expect this at all, but it totally changed, possibly changed my life. But it turned into, I became a morning person, and I started falling in love with like getting up. I now spend almost every single morning at 7 a.m. You'll find me in a forest with my dogs and doing like my own personal, like just walking breathing, taking in, and then it's insane how, and just thinking of the things you're grateful for and the people in your life you're grateful for. And it's been such a deliberate, this is how I start my day going forward. And that's been so nice. And it's the power of that I'd never expected, but it changes your whole energy and your perspective as you go throughout the day. And I don't know, I'll be eternally grateful for Erin and her convincing me to start owning my mornings in a way that's like really beautiful, and not just like rolling out of bed as late as possible, then getting on to what I need to do. So that was really great. But on top of that, I love cooking, and so it's also been great to learn to recharge and like make good food and make an experience that you're at home alone, but you still give yourself this beautiful experience.
We'll have to do a meal together sometime.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we will.
Because cooking's a bit of a passion.
Perfect.
Is there any music that you haven't tried that you wish you had?
A genre of music?
Yeah.
I definitely wish I had given myself or had been more disciplined to dive into more classical, actually, to be honest. I don't ever see myself being a classical artist, but I think that's like just like this, there's so much history in that classical music that I just have never really given too much the time of day. So possibly that, but also I had this one really insane night in Cocoa Beach, Florida, where I randomly was walking down a beach. I was with a bunch of friends and they all wanted to go to bed, and it was like 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m. I was like, why are we in Florida? And then so then I was like, hey, well, you guys go to bed, I'm out. And so I started walking down the beach alone at like 10 p.m. and I started hearing like music in the distance, and I kept following that, and I found this there was like a beachside bar and this reggae band was playing, and I sit down at the bar, there's a whole bunch of people in this bar, and I'm just alone, I don't know anyone, and the one guy in the band says like, hey, you look like a musician. I'm like, I am a musician. And then so he and I'm not even wearing shoes, and he's like, get up here. So they hand me a guitar, and I just jammed with them for the next like 45 minutes. And then I went back to my seat at the bar, but it was so good. And I feel like, man, there's so much about reggae and soul music that I was never exposed to, and no one in my circle of people does it. So it would be great. I would love to just go on like a big adventure where I just hang out with a bunch of reggae and soul players and just immerse myself in that for a while, because that was some of the most fun I've ever had musically.
That is an intriguing story. I love it.
Mm.
You do in places like that meet the most unusual and interesting people.
It's true. It's very true.
So Marvin wants you to rap, and Derek wonders if you've ever tried yodeling.
I have not tried yodeling. And Marvin, the other day I played this private show, and it was like a Father's Day thing as like a gift to this one dude, and his one son, everyone was giving requests and it was fun. His one son didn't really get it, and he just kept requesting rap tunes, and I was like, dude, I'm not going to do that for you. And even like the one, like, what you know about rolling down in the deep, and I'm like, I don't know any more words to that song, man. And it was so funny, but I'd be the worst rapper known to man. I'm also the worst dancer known to man.
No, I can't even go there. The worst dancer?
Worst dancer known to man.
There's probably
I love
a few
dancing
people on this call who have a claim to that crown.
Okay, this is the no dancing club. I love dancing, but I usually need a few beers in me, and then I just go all out.
I do not have the Hefeweiss right now? The Hoppy Heffy?
I don't either, to be honest.
Because when I was there, they were sold out.
Yeah, I have the Sunkiss next.
Yep.
Is that what you have?
Yep, that's that. But I'm not going to do that next. If anybody's got the Hefeweiss, by all means, please open it, enjoy it. I'm going to pour myself a little more of the red ale.
I haven't opened the red ale, so maybe I should do that. I did see they had that sour there.
Yeah.
So I did get the sour, but I'm not good with sours, but I was prepared. I was going to take one for the team here. I wasn't sure if we were doing that.
I see that we've got some education going for you when it comes to sour beers.
Sour?
Marvin, I think that we've found the next collab brew that you and I are going to do, and Eric is going to be part of it.
Okay. Is it going to be this sour is so good even Eric likes it?
That's a great name for it.
Because I don't like sours. I've never been a huge fan of saisons either.
Oh wow.
I know.
We do have you are sorry, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the show. We're done now. We're leaving.
That's a wrap.
You know, beer's taste is a very individual thing.
That's true.
Okay. Derek Bills has had a good run. But taste is
I haven't
individual. So, you know, you don't like sours, you don't like saisons. The first question I would say is you haven't been introduced to the styles of that you would enjoy. Because
That's fair.
Saison's a pretty broad category, and sours have a very broad range of flavors now.
I accept that. I have very much so. From cooking, I've learned that in every ingredient, there's things you like and things you don't like. And so it's about like, what do I like about it? What do I not like about it? Okay, let's hold on to what we like and let's find things to help out the things we don't like. And so I've definitely learned that in cooking. And I don't think I ever saw it that way. I would just I would see, what's a good example? I don't know. This is a basic example, but I would see an onion and I would think even slightly bitter. I would think of that, but it's actually sweet. And it's like, but the more you think about what it is, it's like, no, an onion is there to add sweetness to your dish. And it's just interesting when you start thinking about what you like and don't like about an ingredient, you can break it down in a really cool way. So I could see that with sours. There's probably things I like about certain ones, and I just have to nail it down.
Okay. Tell me, what's next for you, Eric?
The red. No, I'm just kidding.
Besides the beer, what's happening next in your life?
What's happening next? Okay, so do you guys know what the Gaslight District is in Cambridge? Sweet. Okay, a few yeses. This is great. So to the people who don't, there's an area of Cambridge that used to be the Southworks Outlet Mall, and before that, it was like the Tiger brand textile company and like fabric company. And is this Jackie joining in? So that whole area is a very historic industrial area of Cambridge, and it's now going through this big $125 million revamp to be the Gaslight District. And it's going to have a bunch of new condo buildings, but then also new restaurants and entertainment spaces and studio spaces, art installations and things like that. And I got a really exciting invitation to come join in the Gaslight District and kind of partner with them. And so they're going to help me have a better recording studio than I've had and a better space for recording. and I'm going to help them line up the live music for the Gaslight District. They have a whiskey bar going in. They have a tap room. They have Foundry Brewery there. They have Tapestry Hall event space. They have a big courtyard with a permanent outdoor stage, and they can do a couple thousand people there in that courtyard. So they approached me as a, like, what if you come here and how about we work together? And yeah, it was really, really an honor to be asked to come there, and they're making it immensely impossible to resist from they're just like pretty much donating the space, not fully, but they're pretty much just giving me space to work out of. And I don't really know how I would ever say no to that. And it feels very, very exciting because it's been a lot of time working in this community, and these guys are this big development company. And then the fact that they're like, hey, we see what you're doing and we want to help you thrive. And also, if you could help us out in our live music and everything. So it just feels like a very cool relationship, and I'm very excited about that. So that said, I am going through the process of designing with them our new studio space to be at Gaslight District. And I couldn't be more excited. It's so cool. And I'm collaborating with a couple friends on what that recording studio looks like, what the teaching space looks like, and also a photographer who's going to help artists out with their artist profiles and launching new music and creating release plans and things like that. So we're excited to really offer way more than we've ever offered before. So that's coming up, and a lot of my energy right now is going like again, the whole protect your energy, but like whatever little energy I have extra at the end of every day is going back into brainstorming this new space. So it's exciting, and I can't wait. And that will probably be coming sometime spring 2022.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Oh, absolutely. I can see that. And a new recording studio, because you do have the recording space where you are right now.
Yeah, but it's like this big.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen it from the distance.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's happening with Shy Harry?
Shy Harry, we have almost been just on pause. Like we had a chat. There were varying comfort levels throughout COVID. Our band was very mixed feelings on, as people are, just society has mixed feelings. And our band itself, like we all very much love and respect each other, but we had differing comfort levels as to what we were wanting to do throughout the time. And we kind of decided, let's use the time to be creative and let's not stress about everything we can do and trying to grab whatever opportunities we can. I personally grabbed every opportunity I could. I performed last summer. I was doing like 6 shows a week still, despite everything, because once patios opened, we got busy. But Shy Harry wasn't the same. It was a kind of a group decision to kind of take things slow, use the time creatively. And so we did record a bit of new material. We've been writing some new material. We've got another big recording time coming up. And it's just been for myself personally as well, it's been a great time to record and use our little studio space to make music, even though, and just write and collaborate, even though we're not out doing a bunch of stuff yet. So I'm excited. We have a bunch of music that like no one's heard. So it's going to be very fun to put those things out there and to test those out in shows. I also personally, I don't really lock myself into a song until I've performed it a few times. And for me, that's a processing thing. I don't really know if I trust the song until I sing it in front of a group of people, because for me, it's like storytelling. If you, in your head, you know the story, and then you try to convey the story and communicate it to people, and it just starts coming out as jumbled, and you're like, I'm not making any sense. And and then you realize next time I tell this story, I'll tell it much more cohesively and it'll be much more eloquent. And you're a great storyteller, Bill. But it's like when you tell a story and you realize this is coming out all wrong, it's the same process with songwriting to me, where you don't really know. You might be sitting at home thinking this song's great. I know this song. And then you go to perform it and you realize all these weak spots in the song, because now you're trying to communicate it with someone. And so to me, that's a huge part of my process. And so we're writing a bunch and we're recording a bunch, but I can't wait to perform them live so we can kind of be like, great, this is what worked, this is what didn't work, you know?
I hear you, because when you do it live, it starts to become alive,
Yeah,
and then it's real. So
exactly.
now
And-
you say you're staying pretty close to home, but I know you've played on the East Coast. So I'm curious what your favorite venue to play music in is.
I've only played a handful. Oh, wait, on the East Coast or just in general?
Pick one and let me know what it is.
Okay. I would probably have to say, it's not even around anymore, but just beautiful, amazing memories of playing Wasaga Beach. We would partner with the brewery, Wasaga Beach Brewing Company. So this is very fitting to talk about tonight. And it would just be so fun. They would always hire us to play Canada Day or Labor Day or both. And you'd be performing in this beach of people and people kind of coming up and just hanging out, and they're not even necessarily they're just watching, and fireworks are going off in the background. Like there's something just kind of so special about that. But that to me probably has the most, like, the best, like, very powerful memories of music and just nights of connecting with people. But when it comes to like a regular, like a standard venue, East Coast, playing the Carlton was very fun because we played there a couple times. It's in Halifax and it's kind of legendary. Like the artists that play there, a lot of East Coast legends just play there regularly, like normal. Like, yeah, you just would casually see them. You could see them if they were here, they'd be playing like Center in the Square, but they're there, they're playing a 50-person bar, and it's just a regular night. And I don't know, stuff like that, places like that, I think excite me most.
They're intimate, just like your discussion on Wasaga Beach. That was an intimate space, even though it's wide open. They're right there.
Now,
yeah.
I'm trying to think though. I don't know. I'm trying to think where else I might add to that list, but for sure those are really beautiful.
Craig, I'm curious if you've ever played in Memphis or been to Memphis.
Never. Okay. So Shy Harry, my band had our first like Eastern US tour all lined up for summer 2020. And so that was neat. That was obviously canceled, and it was such a bummer. But yeah, so we definitely have some serious work to do in the States. Yeah, Memphis would be very fun.
Yeah, apparently my friends who have been there, they've all had a great time there.
Oh man.
So neither you nor I managed to get the Cyclone New England IPA. So those of you who have it, please enjoy it. Eric and I are going to do just a minute, gotta get it around where I can see it, Sunkiss IPA. Let's
do it.
And this, I believe, is your almost favorite style of beer.
Okay, yeah. So Jackass had a New England IPA that I thought was next level good. I loved it, but they didn't have it this time around. That was a bummer. But yeah, the New England, the any IPA that they have is ridiculous, in my opinion. Yeah, but this one's still really good. I haven't had it many times, but cheers.
Cheers.
It's great.
I have so many other questions to ask you,
Hit me.
but the one that stands out for me right now, if you could spend a day playing music with anybody, who would it be?
Oh, like
I warned you I was going to ask it.
I know, and you even said like these are some of the questions, and I didn't even review them, to be honest. I had a nice full day, and I was like, I don't know, and I was trying to just remember off the top of my head. So many artists, my goodness. I feel like when it comes to making music with an artist, you definitely have to think of their creative process and would they be an absolute asshole to work with. And so like I don't know what some people would be like, but people that come to mind that I just wish I could create with would be Jeff Buckley. Like Jeff Buckley would I would give some years of my life, future years, just to be like, let's have to cut a song with Jeff Buckley. Yeah, that would be great for me. I would be down for that. I think he's just, yeah, he was brilliant. I feel similarly about Chris Cornell. They're very different artists from one another, but just another artist that like I just feel like the world just needed a bit more of that person. Both those guys aren't with us anymore. With someone who's like here right now, I would love to work with Mateus Asado. He's a ridiculous guitarist, but I wouldn't want to collaborate with him because it would be very embarrassing. I would just like him to teach me how to play guitar. Yeah.
That's really high praise coming from someone who teaches that.
I love the guitar. I like to think in many ways I've mastered parts of the guitar. You know, a couple, like, I don't know, like something like 30,000 hours on that thing I better have. But it's like when I see guys like him play, I'm like, oh no, you're a whole other level of connected to this instrument. So if I could have even just an hour of like, hey Mateus, what do I need to know? I would be so down.
I hear you. We saw an artist in Chicago in the Kingston Mines, Dion. He couldn't have cared less if there was a person in the audience, but was he a sensation? And he was this like 4-year wonder. He played for about 4 years and then completely disappeared.
Wow.
To watch him play was just it was, even if you didn't like that style of music, just to watch him play, because he was his music.
There's a whole power to that goes beyond instrumentation, and
absolutely.
I respect it very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would I find on your nightstand right now? What are you reading?
Okay, I'm glad you followed that with what are you reading? I'm notoriously have numerous books on the go. I definitely am like, I'm in the mood for this. And I'll like kind of chip away at something. So I'll sometimes have like 10 books on the go. Hey Jackie. I'll sometimes have like 10 books on the go. But just like certain times of day, it depends when I'm picking it up to read, spark different things from me. So it depends. And then so right now, let's see. I have a Joan Didion book. I have Barack Obama's autobiography. immensely long. Holy, I almost regret starting it. I have Alan Doyle's All Together Now, which is just so fun. And I think everyone should buy it because it's so, the whole premise of his book, well, it's Alan Doyle. Like, you gotta love Alan Doyle. And the whole premise of it is he misses chatting with strangers in a bar and just like spitballing stories off each other. Like where you say, Bill, you would be the king of this, but like where someone says, oh, you know what? Like my car got stuck in the ditch this week. Then someone else says, you know what? The funniest thing happened to my brother. He got stuck in a ditch one night, and it goes off into this hilarious story. And just the way you bounce off each other. Alan Doyle's book All Together Now is all that way of writing. So at the beginning of every chapter, it's like he plays off an imaginary scene of being in a bar with his brother and chatting with locals. And then someone says something and he's like, that reminds me of my Uncle Reg. And he goes into a chapter called Uncle Reg where he tells a story. And I think it's just beautiful. It's very heartwarming and fun, gets you laughing. I have, let's see, there's a book called Breathe by James Nestor, which is much more like scientific. It's talking about like the how your anatomy responds to breathing. And it's been so cool, but it's just a bit different. It's like even things how like you just like the way you breathe affects like how like as mankind like we get so used to like we don't really focus necessarily on breathing. We just go through our day. And it's a subconscious thing, but how if you're actually conscious about how you're breathing, it can change so many different health things for your body. And last one that comes to mind that I have sitting there is Five Little Indians, which is like a novel, like a novel of stories, like short stories, and it's fiction, but it's meant to draw educational awareness to different Indigenous issues. So it's been very, those are a few, but it would, depending on the mood, depends what I'm going to be picking up. So now.
Can you share with us your most epic fail?
My most epic fail. I think it was trying, the one that comes to mind immediately, this might not even be the most epic fail, but there's one that comes to mind right away. I moved my music school to Main Street, downtown Cambridge, and it needed like a renovation and everything. So I was trying to do a renovation on this space, and decided that would be also a fantastic time to start Galt Love, which is like a mini grassroots movement of events and positivity. So suddenly I'm trying to arrange a bunch of events for the community and run a social network while also renovating a brand new space and opening a brand new space, and also teaching all of my clients and also performing a whole bunch. And then 7.5 months later, I decided, you know what this town needs? A store that sells artists things, locally made things. So within like an 8-month span, I was sitting there running 2 different shops downtown, a local grassroots movement, performing, teaching, and doing still a renovation. And all very well intentioned. But what utter failures of like it was like I didn't have the energy to do the store. So the store was just always getting whatever little bit I could handle, and it just never became any, like it was great for a minute, but it never was given justice really. And then while doing that, I was also neglecting like my students and like the quality of my energy that I give to the school, and then I'm like trying to do this big movement in Galt, and it was working. We were getting thousands of people out, But like 4 months into it, I wasn't able to keep the marketing up, and I wasn't able to keep things going. So anyways, all that said, in that little time span, like people watched me do a whole bunch and then watched 80% of it fail. Maybe not 80%, but the whole community watched us, like a good at least 50% of all of that just kind of went under and didn't work out. So I like made a huge amount of noise, made like was on CBC doing all this stuff, and it's like, here's everything going on, this is super cool, and oh, Eric, how do you do it? And it turns out you can't, and you absolutely cannot do it. And so a bunch of those things weren't working out well, and I came to a point where I realized, okay, you need to focus on your home base, and you need to focus on teaching. Like, that's your music, and teaching music is your main baby. Like, if the art store dies, goodbye. If like community movements have to slow down, fine. And it was like learning that from it was really important, but it meant just kind of like accepting that these things are not working out, and it's also not worth my energy to try to make it happen. And so instead, it's just you take that hit on the chin as a little bit of pride, like, oh, there's a quick little blow that the whole community knows about. That was probably my most epic fail, but it was also a valuable lesson.
I remember that time period, Eric.
I would like to never remember that time period.
I totally understand, but I was sitting there. I remember looking at the store going, wow, he has really taken on a little too much in this process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a nightmare.
I can well imagine what kind of a nightmare it was.
You know, you want to help the community, you want to do cool things, you want to help all these artists, but it's like, you really can't. Like, you have like this, you have only so much you can give. And it was when like I noticed, like, I was even getting short with people, and I'm like, that's not me. Like, this is insane. And I don't know, that was one of the biggest eye openers. It was when my personality started to shift and I didn't have time for people anymore. I was like, there's a huge problem here. Like,
Yep.
Yeah. So.
But here we are. And you are still popular. Your music is taking off. Have the classes and lessons with the kids are doing great.
We're having a bunch of beers on a Tuesday night together.
Isn't that fantastic?
We're all doing well.
Yeah.
Cheers, everyone. We made it.
Cheers, Eric.
Everyone except Graham. He's looking a little empty there.
Oh, Graham. Come on. I thought you were a team player, Graham.
Now, Gold Love.
Yeah.
You put your heart and soul into it. You founded it, started it. You babied it through how many years now? Is it going to make a resurgence?
6. My bad. I think 6. I think it's 6. My bad. Yeah, it is going to. I don't know what it looks like yet. It was interesting, right before the pandemic. It was the fall 2019. I decided to put out there, if anyone would be interested in volunteering and helping with Galt Love, let's make some beautiful things happen. And the response was next level. It was, I put a thing out there, and in like something like 14 hours, I had 83 applicants. And I was like, delete. I was like, okay, delete post. I can't do this. So I took down the post and was like, too many people. So I did. I organized a meeting with these like 80 plus people and was like, how do we, okay. So I was staring at a group of 80 people and I'm like, here's 7 subcategories, like a marketing group, everything like that. And then said, write down, like put your name in any column that interests you. Some people were interested in one of those things. And some people had interest in all of them. Then I said, great. Okay, now we know this group of people is into event planning, and this group of people, God bless them, is into spreadsheets. And and I was like, I guess we'll do that. And it started to work out. And then we started planning out different events for Cambridge, and it was really cool. But then the pandemic hit, and suddenly we didn't get to do any of those things. And it was kind of a bummer, but in a way, I'm actually very grateful for it, because I was seeing again that same feeling I felt before, where like I'm just slightly in over my head here, and like I'm down for a little deep water at any point. But like this was just, you could tell this was quality was gonna go down, and I could tell that. So it was kind of a relief, but. There's a lot of people who still want to see good happen in Galt and do a lot of stuff. So I know it's going to come back, but what it looks like, I haven't quite ironed out.
Yep. Eric, I want to thank you for taking this time, share your time with us tonight. It's been a lot of fun. It's been great to see you again, chat with you. To thank you on behalf of everybody at Beers with Bill for being such a enduring guest.
Thanks for having me. This is so fun.
Yep.
Thank you guys.
Yep. Next week, the indomitable, entertaining, outspoken Kat Rogers-Hearn is joining us from Shortfinger. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.